What is going on, my fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks.
I do have a media recommendation.
I love Lord of the Rings. Superheroes, movies, a little jack of all trades, I guess.
So what makes me a geek?
What is going on, my fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks, the weekly pop culture podcast from Central Michigan Life, where we discuss all things geek culture, which is like high culture, but better. If this is your first time joining us, make sure you follow the CM Life Instagram and Twitter pages for updates on the podcast, and to look for us wherever you find your podcasts, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on our website at www.cm-life.com. My name is Brendan Valentine, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me and my fellow geeks this week, who will introduce themselves in a second with our question of the week. Drum roll, please. This week's question is, do you collect anything? And if so, what? I can start with my answer. This isn't like as much of a collection, but I have found myself getting all of the expansions of the game Settlers of Catan to find variations on how to play it, as well as the extensions to play with 6 players. I have technically completed that collection, but there are other ways to play Catan, such as Catan Spacefarers that turns the board into outer space, Game of Thrones Catan, Catan the card game, things like that. So those are also things that that are on my hunt. But in more generally, I really like to collect fun board games. There's a lot of things that I really like to I know I mentioned last podcast, I'm pretty sure I did the game of Puns of Anarchy, stuff like that. Charty Party is another one that kept showing up in my Facebook ads, but all these fun party games. I was very proud when one of my friends once called me the king of party games. But I also like to collect video games, but series and trilogies and all of the main series in physical format, not digitally purchased. I have my whole collection of all the main series Pokemon games in my a little box. Even though I haven't played them since Origins, I have all the discs of Assassin's Creed, and eventually I'm going to get to all of them. I'm currently still on Revelations from my most recent playthrough, but school makes it difficult to, grind those games out to get them to 100%. So I feel comfortable moving on to the next one. But yeah, stuff like that. I'm really into sets of games.
Isaac, you want to go next?
I can go next. All right. Hello, everyone. I am Isaac Hunter. What do I collect besides crippling student debt? I am a large fan of a little, I think it's Dutch company called Legos. I love myself some Legos. As I hold up a scavenged AT-AT from the Mandalorian Lego, I don't know. I've loved Legos ever since I was a kid. My siblings had Legos, and then it was hand me down to me, and I just love that they all fit together. Not to knock down Mega Bloks, but I was never a fan of Mega Bloks. But to those Mega Bloks fans out there, but I think Legos are sick. Whether it be just building something from a cool movie you like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter, or just breaking those apart and making your own spaceship. I'm not gonna lie, Legos was kind of a gateway drug into me playing Minecraft, because it was it's like Legos, so I can play it. So yeah.
So quick question for you, Isaac. Are you a keep everything in their own box, so you have your all they maintain the separate Lego set status, or do you retire them and throw them in the big Lego bin?
Okay. Well, before I moved here, I did have pretty much
here Earth.
Sorry,
here, or
before I moved to Mount Pleasant, Michigan to go to college, I kind of had some shelves with a bunch of the Legos on them. And I kept everyone in its original piece, only because when I was younger, I had a really cool Lego. It was a dwarven mine. Lego dwarves were the coolest. And I remember I built it, and then I got rid of the instructions, blah, blah, blah. I was little, and then my brother stepped on it, and I was never able to rebuild it ever again. And so since then, I did for a while keep every single thing I liked, like pretty much like in the set as the set it came. I threw away the boxes, but I always kept all the instructions just in case. But when I moved here, it was like, well, gotta throw nearly all of them into one. I had 3 boxes of Legos. I mean, not like I had a tub, and then I had 2 smaller, just like cardboard boxes. But yeah, I ended up throwing like nearly everything into the big tub, and I had like just like plastic bags as well as like certain Legos. But then in the smaller boxes, it was like I have a Lego B-Wing, and I like gently placed it in there, and I gently placed in like my snow speeder, and then like my Rivendell Fellowship of the Ring set, and I was like, you're gonna be safe in here. And so those are safely in my closet or on my bookshelf.
Nice.
My niece and brother-in-law have you beat for how many Legos?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Like, between getting my brother-in-law all of different Lego sets, like Harry Potter and Star Wars, my niece is also really into Legos. And so usually for her birthday, she gets a new set.
It's perfect. I did just buy 2 sets, though, with my stimulus. I didn't, like, pay. It was under $90, the 2 sets, don't worry. But I did see another gentleman in there who was probably in his 50s or 60s, and he came in, and he's like, any good Legos today? And I was like, yeah. And like he like grabbed like the $100 like Lego pirate ship, and he's like, can't wait to build this. And he like walked away, and I was like, that man is gonna be me in the future. All right, take it away, Hope.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Hope Gooderl. Things that I collect. So when I was younger, and this was the big craze, I collected Webkins. Like literally my mom and I think one of my friends and her mom, we took an entire day and drove around to different stores and bought like one of each kind of Webkins we could find, and then like sold them to our friends. We didn't make a profit. It was like, oh yeah, we paid $15 for it, just pay us $15 back. Like, it's fine. And I still have most, if not all, of the dogs that I had gotten from Webkins in a Rubbermaid tub. I sold the other ones at a garage sale because I didn't have space for them. Let's see. Another thing I collect is just books in general. Like, you take me into a bookstore, I'm likely leaving with like 10 different books, and they just like go on a shelf, and they're on my to be read list, but you know, things keep adding up. Another thing is Harry Potter, for sure. Like, anytime that there's anything Harry Potter, like, I'll point it out. Like this past Christmas, my mom and I had gone into Kohl's, and we went past a display that had like advent calendars. And one was like Lego Friends, and so we got it for my niece, and the other one was Harry Potter, and so I got the Lego Harry Potter.
You got the Lego Advent one with like the Yule Ball?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I didn't get it because it was like $10 more than the Lego City Advent calendar, and I was like, I'm getting the Lego City one. It's $10 cheaper. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I needed Harry Potter, and like when I found out my brother-in-law was getting Hagrid's Hut for Christmas, I was very jealous, especially because I went with my mother and sister to go pick it up. But yeah, so also a bunch of Stitch stuff. Like, I have shirts that are Lilo and Stitch, mainly Stitch. I have a couple stuffed animals that are Stitch, and yeah, so I collect a lot of things. Rocks are also a big thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You take me to a beach or like out walking on a trail, like, I will look down, and if I see a pretty rock, it's getting picked up. I have been on Lake Superior so many times, and I have lots of little white rocks because, you know, just
they look.
Do you have that machine to like clean them to like see what color they actually are?
Yeah, I think I do. I just don't know how to use it or where it is.
Got it.
I have a CMU fanny pack that's full of rocks from the UP, and I never like took them out, so it's just in my closet.
I think they're in a box in my garage right now with like my other craft stuff of like terracotta pots, because I also have like a shelf of just terracotta pots, because I've seen lots of crafts like making figures out of terracotta pots and like roping them together and stuff. And I'm like, I want to do this. Or like making what looks like mushroom, so garden ornaments, where you take the bottom of the terracotta pot and then you put like the plate on top. So yeah.
Very
So if
cool.
you want to do craft supplies, that's a collection.
Nice. Now, we will actually get back to collection stuff in a moment. But thank you very much to our hosts for getting us started. But before anything else, before we even share our geek news, I have something very pressing to discuss with the two of you. So do either of you know who Brian David Gilbert is?
Yes.
Yes, I'm so glad you know who he is, Isaac, because I was introduced to him today, did not know who he was. I watched his video on showing the military structure of Bowser's army.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
It's so good.
Like, the video is like 15 minutes long, and I was like, why does he seem so familiar? It's because he sounds just like you, Isaac. He reminds me of you so much, and I thought it was so funny.
Do you know why?
With him.
Do you know why I know who he is? Is because my friend and his family, like even my friend's parents, were like, "We found your doppelganger on YouTube." Which
so
he has
weird.
He has glorious hair. I don't compare. Actually, I think he cut it. But yeah, no. And they always said it, and I was like, I don't see it. And then like I listened to him, and he's like, I'm gonna read every like book in Skyrim, so you don't have to. And I'm like, okay. Not only does he sound like me, he sounds like something I would do too.
The way he talks, I'm like, this so much reminds me of Isaac, and it's so funny. So if you haven't, you can look him up. I believe also like he's the one that says like so either Sonic is a god or he could kill God, and like that's him. And I never knew like where that came from, and I heard it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely Isaac.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that, Brendan.
So to me, that was just pressing news. That's part of my geek news, is that Isaac and Brian David Gilbert are like the same, and I just found that out. I thought it was really funny. Also, kind of recommendation.
2 things. So like I said, he is exactly 3 years older than me. Like his birthday is the same exact. But also on Google, it's like people also search for John Mulaney. So if you like John Mulaney, I guess you should go look up.
They have kind of a similar like sense of like sarcastic, sassy humor that like they're just like evading like the very poignant thing to say, and they're just kind of going like, this is how it is. What was the quote from today? Where it's like, I want to talk about dry bones and dry Bowser. When I die, does that mean I'm dry Brian? Does that mean, the Bowser at the end of the game is wet Bowser? And then why does Piranha Plant have bone? It was really funny. It's like, he's like the gamer John Mulaney. Like John Mulaney's nerdy, but this is like geek John Mulaney. If you really want to get into it. But all right, getting into our geek news of the day. Does anyone in particular want to start?
Do me last, like all the time.
Like always.
Okay, I can start.
No, let's have Hope go first, so we have the pressure that like we still need our time.
Okay. Smart. Okay, go ahead, Hope. Take it away.
All right, Hope. Rapid fire news.
All right, so Creed 3 will be released Thanksgiving weekend of next year, 2022. And it'll be Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. There's going to be a thriller movie directed by Elizabeth Banks about a cocaine bear, which is inspired by a true story of a black bear who consumed 70 pounds of cocaine and was dropped from a plane by a drug smuggler.
Yes, my autobiography.
Let's see here. In the Heights, which was supposed to be released last year, but got pushed because, yay, pandemic, is now being released on June 18th in theaters and HBO Max. So here is my plug. HBO Max, sponsor us, please, because, like, we'll review stuff for you. Free, kind of sort of free, like, advertising, just a bunch of college students. Going to Disney, there are rumors that Disney is in talks with people to produce adventures of the time between the Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens as Disney Plus shows. And so they're looking to recast Luke Skywalker. And for all of us that are like, Sebastian Stan,
Luke
Skywalker, he is in the running to be young Luke Skywalker in these shows.
All right.
Wait, also, this is the same time period as Mandalorian, correct?
If it's between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, then yes.
Okay, so what are they saying specifically about? Like, it's just stuff they're trying to fill in that time period. Is it a movie,
Yeah.
TV show, Disney? Like,
It's supposed to be like Disney shows, like adventures of different characters in the decades between those two movies.
okay, so like an anthology series, similar,
Yeah.
maybe similar to Clone Wars, but live action for
Yeah.
that era.
Yeah, they
Okay,
haven't
that
been
makes
like
sense.
super specific about what it's gonna be. It's just like they're in talks and Sebastian Stan's in the running and
Got it. Because like Mandalorian takes place, Star Wars Resistance takes place that time. Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, I think, also take place at that time, or should be taking place at that time. So like that's an era that they're definitely going at. I wish they'd do live action High Republic, but okay.
maybe this will be part of it. Or they'll get there. It's
High
Disney.
Republic is
They gotta
before
come up with
episode
stuff.
1, so
It's Disney. They have to
they'll do
keep
it.
coming up with stuff. So, eventually. Speaking of Disney, Avatar, the blue people, not airbenders or anything, has reclaimed its title of highest grossing film of all time over Avengers Endgame. Sad.
Re-release it in the US. I'll get it back on my own. I swear. Avatar, I hate doing slander on this podcast. Avatar does not deserve the #1 spot. It is not culturally significant globally.
Apparently in China it is, though. Because that's where it was re-released, and it has grossed $2.8 billion and counting.
For the time, I agree it should have had it for a while, because with the advent of CGI, that was like the film. Yeah. But for what film is now, I feel like Avengers Endgame deserves that spot more, because we're getting into like connected universe cinematography, and I feel like it's culturally very relevant worldwide as well. So sorry, that's my like little thing.
Secret Invasion has cast its Disney Plus main villain. So the show or movie, whichever it's gonna be, Kingsley Ben-Adir is cast as the main villain of the show, which leaves him, I think it was Samuel L. Jackson and one other person, and those are like the only 3 confirmed. Like, there's only 3 confirmed cast members of Secret Invasion right now. So they're still keeping that very hush-hush. Captain America is having the 80th anniversary of the original release of the comic. Ooh. And in honor of that, there is going to be a new special edition comic series, which is going to be called The United States of Captain America. So Captain's shield is stolen, and so he teams up with Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and John Walker, all of who have held the mantle of Captain America before, on a cross-country adventure to try and get the shield back. And in that, they meet a bunch of Captain Americas that were like inspired by Steve Rogers and everyone in different like areas of the country. And so they meet Captain America of the Railways, Aaron Fisher, and he is gay. So we are getting a new gay Captain America, and he's supposed to be like really for like diversity and everything. Like I can't remember what the quote was, but like he's supposed to be essentially Captain America, but he's gay. And so I think that's really cool that they're doing that. Because
from my understanding, they're doing their best not to make it like, oh, token gay person in our Captain America story. From the diversity standpoint, they're like, we feel like we don't have someone who is both like, because Captain America is like the patriotic, what's it called? Like the patriotic symbolism of like, I love my country, as well as like the LGBTQ plus status. So I think that's where they were going at it with like that demographic. Like, okay, we have this is Captain America, then this is like a demographic he's lacking given like the socio-political climate of the US. Generally, people that are pro-government tend to be anti-LGBTQ. So this is something that's necessary for us to put into the comics just so like everything can be properly represented and we can put our voice into that area.
Yeah. Well, and it's like with the documentary Behind the Mask that they, like when they were asked about why they put in Black people, and it's like, you look around, there's Black people everywhere. It's part of our society. So I think that's a big part of it. And so I'm actually excited about a comic series that's coming out. So next news, let's see, Venom 2, it got its release date pushed back again. Instead of June 25th, it'll now be September 17th.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it also pushed out a Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson movie. So that movie is now up in the air as to when it's going to be released. Loki is going to be released on Disney Plus on June 11th.
My birthday.
Happy early birthday now, because I don't know if we'll have a podcast then. Falcon and Winter Soldier currently stands with a 96% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like super high. It was at 98% at one point. So going to Netflix shows. So I mentioned this, I think, last week, that there's going to be a new show called The Irregulars, like a Sherlock Holmes story, coming to Netflix on the 26th. It hasn't been officially stated by Netflix, but there are a lot of sources that are saying The Irregulars is already renewed for season 2, even though season 1 hasn't come out yet, which makes some people who are fans of other shows that are currently on Netflix a little upset because they haven't announced season 2 for current shows. But they're saying that, oh, hey, it's already renewed, even though it hasn't aired yet.
Netflix has a trend of doing that, saying like, oh yeah, there's going to be season 2 before they actually get confirmation.
Yeah. So
like they put in the bid for it and then they never follow through.
I'm hoping, just because like one of my favorite celebrities is in it. So I'm hoping. I was talking with Isaac about this earlier, but he and Brendan are likely going to be way more excited about this than I am. But Lord of the Rings is getting a TV series on Amazon Prime. There's not much else that I saw about it other than like there's already been one actor who left because apparently Amazon Prime was like, no, we're going to go in a different direction with your character. So I don't know if they like killed him off or what exactly happened there. But yeah, if you liked the show Everybody Hates Chris, CBS is going to be creating an animated series, and it's still going to be narrated by Chris Rock like the original series. Supergirl is having its 6th and final season premiere on March 30th. So if you're a fan of any of those CW shows, Supergirl is coming out. Pirates of the Caribbean there are rumors at Disney that they want to make another Pirates movie, but they kind of like fell out with Johnny Depp. And so there was a petition started on change.org to get Johnny Depp back as Captain Jack Sparrow. And it has surpassed the 500,000 signatures that like it was originally set at, and is working towards 1 million signatures. Also, I believe that Jerry Bruckheimer has stated that if he was to do another Pirates movie, that he was bringing Johnny Depp back. So if that's happening, Johnny Depp, please, you can't have Pirates without Captain Jack Sparrow. Like, it would not be the same. And this is a Michigan and also Asian American happiness moment, especially with what happened down in Atlanta. So Stephen Yoon is the first Asian American to be nominated in the Best Actor Oscar category in his role of Minari. He is a Troy, Michigan native, and he actually like didn't take anything to do with theater in high school until he went to Kalamazoo College, which is where he fell in love with improv. So Michigan people go woohoo, and like also for Asian community too, like first Asian American, yay. So yeah, that is all of my geek news. Now it is up to you two to see if I left anything out.
Also, if you love Stephen Yeun in The Walking Dead, you can also catch him in Voltron on Netflix, and it's fantastic. All right. I guess I'm talking. I'll go next. All right. For my geek news, from Wizards of the Coast, a new Dungeons and Dragons themed brawler called Dark Alliance will be launching June 22nd. This action RPG will follow 4 well-known heroes in the Forgotten Realms universe, where you and 3 of your friends can battle monsters and wreak havoc together. In the article I read, it was compared to Gears of War. The 4 characters are going to be the well-known Drizzt Do'Urden, Caddy Bree, Wolfgar the Barbarian, and the dwarf Bruenor Battlehammer. It is going to take place in Icewind Dale, and so for those watching, I do have my Icewind Dale trilogy by R.A. Salvatore, who invented Drizzt Do'Urden. And so that's kind of exciting, just because, especially like back in like the 80s, this was what really helped build the foundations of the Forgotten Realms and like a lot of things about this. So that's really exciting. Unfortunately, unlike real D&D, at launch, there isn't going to be a local co-op option, which you think that people that play D&D normally around a table would also want to play a video game around a couch. But they might add on this local co-op later. But yeah, there's a few trailers you can watch for it, and it just looks pretty awesome. Just giant battles running around, a lot of teamwork, like characters like jumping off of each other, and like, I don't know, and it's all in the gameplay. So that's kind of cool.
Nice. Alrighty, rounding off geek news for another CW announcement. If you haven't been catching or like keeping up with Black Lightning, then this might be a spoiler, so heads up. But China Anne McClain has officially been recast as the character Lightning and will no longer be a part of the show Black Lightning. This was like, she kind of like hinted at it last November that she'd be exiting season 4 early, but we saw how the show did it a few weeks ago. So that is official, recast in the show. There's some news going on Disney Plus, specifically with the Disney executives stating that Black Widow may be premiere access and not just exclusively in theaters upon release. So like it'd be similar to what they did with Raya and the Last Dragon. They want to do it, fully in theaters, but they're like, if we'll play it by ear, we want to make sure everyone's comfortable to go see it. If they want to, premiere access, then we might have that option, but it seems like it might be a last minute decision. Like we might not know until like last week of April, first week of May. Don't know if I'm excited for that because I don't like the precedent being set of like, here's pay $20 to get access to it. Like I'm buying it on a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's.
I thought it was $29.99.
It might be. But anyway, I mean, like that's fine, but I'm already paying for the streaming service. Like that seems excessively steep. So we'll see. By that point, I should be fully vaccinated, so I might feel comfortable going to a movie theater. So we'll see. But just putting that out there for people that are anticipating Black Widow. And finally, as of today, the Snyder Cut has officially been released. So HBO Max, please sponsor us so I can get my subscription taken care of so I can watch the show. But the critical acclaim for it has been similar to most DCEU movies. We way overhype it beforehand. The trailers look awesome, and then it's a little underwhelming based on the way it was presented. DC seems to be exceptional at creating trailers, but not so great at making movies. Like critically, critics don't love it. It's 60-70% in Rotten Tomatoes about now. But it seems like the fans have had better reactions, so I'm not saying anything definitive about it, but just putting it out there. It's been released, and reviews are out. And the reviews generally say, good if you're a Zack Snyder fan, fine if you're a DC person. So, alrighty. Now moving on to our main topic of the episode. We kind of already really started this conversation at the beginning, but over the past few weeks, we here at Raving Geeks noticed that we all have collections. Collecting is definitely a part of geek culture. We all have these things we're really passionate about and really niche things that we dig ourselves into and kind of lose ourselves in. But during the pandemic, it's really difficult to maintain those collections because you can't go into these little stores as easily that sell your favorite things. Things are sold out online. It's hard to find, and it's just hard to find things because production's down for some places. However, I think it's really funny how we all found this out is that we all have these little things called Squishmallows. If you are watching, I'm holding mine up right now. His name is Henry. He is a turtle. Isaac has his. What's his name?
This is Zobi. He is a like a light blue-green octopus, and he's so cute.
Yeah, these things are adorable. Like if you don't know what we're talking about, go look them up, Squishmallows. But also, like, I was hoping to buy one for my girlfriend for her birthday, and she really likes platypi. And there is a platypus squishmallow, but it's only sold in Australia. But I was like, I'll pay international shipping. No, I couldn't. They are sold out everywhere. I joined multiple Facebook groups to find out, like, oh, are people like selling these? I joined like it's not Poshmark, but it looks similar to Poshmark, like one of those like independent seller apps. So they're selling on there for like $400, $500. Retail price is like $20. And then like being in these Facebook groups, like this is a cult. Like people take this stuff really seriously. I mentioned this before one of our podcast meetings, and we all were like, "Oh yeah, Squishmallows." So for the longest time, we were calling this the Squishmallow episode, but really we're just generally talking about collections and collecting during a pandemic when we don't have ease of access to stuff. So like first thing we're going to start off, we already mentioned like what we collect, but like what are like notable collections for you guys? We can start off with like the Squishmallow stuff if you really want.
I mean, like, my sister collects Madame Alexander dolls, and like generally we try and keep like a theme, so it's not just anything and everything, but also like my family would go to like estate sales and garage sales and resale stores. Pandemic has severely limited, especially like garage sales and estate sales, because you don't want to go into someone's home or their garage and you don't know if they've had, but it was like definitely Madame Alexander's were like the start, or a big start, especially back in the day, because they were like really pretty dolls and like very specific. And they are expensive. Like you look them up, they are expensive. Like even at a resale store, it's still like for a small one, it's like 12 inches or something like that is like $20 or something like that. And it's just like, that's reselling it. And sometimes they don't have like all of the pieces too. So yeah, I don't know if you guys know about Madame Alexander dolls.
I'm not familiar actually.
There was actually at one point McDonald's, when they were still doing, I don't know if they still do because I haven't gotten a Happy Meal in a while, but they did the boy toy and the girl toy with the Happy Meals and everything, and they had like Wizard of Oz themed Madame Alexander like dolls, and we would go to multiple different McDonald's just to try and find like specific ones for my sister, because she is huge into Wizard of Oz. Like my dad has gone to used bookstores and gotten like original copies of Wizard of Oz stories, which that can also get really expensive.
So there's like 24 books in the Wizard of Oz series.
Well, and then there's also like ones that were written after Frank Baum, but like were still like registered as part of the story. And like there was like a series or something like that. And my dad like has a list of like what he's gotten her or like what he still needs to find for stuff. So when he's out looking. But yeah. So that was definitely a big thing. And I think maybe the next thing would be Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies were huge at one point. Because like you could still go to garage sales and estate sales and find Beanie Baby bears in the little plastic clear boxes. And it's like, it's a toy. Why is it in a box?
I remember
belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, one of my teachers would tell a story about how they went to when they were like Happy Meal toys. They were looking for a very specific one, and like they like met someone in like a back alley, like the sketchiest thing ever. Like, if any of you are familiar with like the roads and stuff in Metro Detroit, but like around like behind a McDonald's at like 10 Mile, a little bit like
Oh, like right by my house. It's fine.
yeah. Well, but I don't remember like where, like in terms of east west, but like the close for those of you, like even people that aren't super familiar with like Detroit, like 8 Mile is usually like is that boundary between Detroit and not Detroit, and that's usually where a lot of people associate like the sketchy area in general. It's not always true. Like my sister lives like at like 9 Mile, so it's like, and that's like fine. Sometimes it's a city, but like people get intense, like for like at the time, like for Beanie Babies, but even now, like there's cultural phenomenon in collecting. But Isaac, what are like notable collections for you?
Okay, well, in my garage, like my entire life, because we have this like, it's like kind of like, it looks more like a pole barn, like a really old pole barn, and like you can crawl up to the top, and it's like only walk on this like these like 5 2x4s across, because if you walk on like any else, you'll fall off. Sorry, that's unimportant.
Rafters.
Yeah, and but like my dad has like a ton of boxes up there, and it's like chock full of like unopened like action figures.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not like the really expensive action figures. It's more like, oh, maybe a collector might like this. But he's got like a large amount of like Star Wars action figures in like their like plastic and everything, as well as like a lot of superhero stuff. Like he's got like Spawn.
That's cool.
I think he might even have some like G.I. Joe stuff. And it's like as a kid, it's like he would always like we could like see it, but then they're pretty much just in storage, and it's like we just wouldn't, like we knew not to open it. And so like that just kind of like adds to like the point of like, yeah, people love to like collect action figures. And that's like something you always see, especially on like biggest like famous expensive things are like this is like a really old action figure, and it's like in a box, and it's selling for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it makes me think of like the pop vinyl things. Yeah. Where like I have pop vinyl, and like I took them out of the box and I put them up because I think they're adorable. But like I realized after I like first got my like first one, which I think was BMO, is that like no one actually takes them out of the box. Like you'll see like YouTubers or you see stuff and they just have like a wall of like pop vinyls, but they're all inside the box because they're all in mint condition. And that was something that I always thought was pretty interesting.
So I had 2 comments. One, how you know the action figures are still a thing is the fact that they are referenced in so many TV shows and movies, because they're like, oh yeah, he's playing with his dolls. They're not dolls, they're action figures. Like, so you still know that action figures are relevant in today's society. But 2, there is a TikToker who I think he also has a YouTube account, Jennings Bauer, and he has like a wall of TikToks of Funko Pops in their boxes, but then he's also got like shelves that are just lined with them out of their boxes. So I think it depends on the collector, because like some of them are probably like, yeah, I want to put the box up because like I've seen like a poster of like where you put like it matches. So if you have like the box, like you're supposed to stack it to that spot or whatever. And so like I think depending on if like you have space to display that poster, because it's like a full wall poster, and then also like if you're planning on being like one of those collectors that's like, no, this is, you know, rainy day fund, or if you're just one of those collectors like, look at this cool thing. I think that depends on how you display everything too.
Yeah. And I could take this time to flex my museum studies I guess degree progression and just talk about how I'm in a collections class, and how, you know, one of the original actual like museums just came about because people were collecting stuff, like the cabinets of curiosities, or wonder rooms, or cabinets of wonders, also known as Wunderkammers. Those are just fun little things that people like would collect, you know, like taxidermied animals, all this like fun stuff, shells and everything. And it got to the point where like wealthy people were collecting them, and then all of a sudden, hey, why don't we just put all this wealthy stuff into one building so people can see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Museums. All right. What about you, Brendan?
Ooh, yeah. Also, that's really cool. The museum study perspective on that, like the historical. I didn't know that. But also, you mentioning Spawn, I just had to look it up because I know the Spawn reboot movie was supposed to be like entering production in 2020, and we still don't have a release date. I just had to Google that real quick. But yeah, for me, like I've always like been aware of like Pokemon cards or like baseball cards, sports cards, like the trading stuff.
I was gonna mention Pokemon, but I said I won't because Brendan might.
Brendan will probably mention. Yeah,
One of you will. Let's be honest.
absolutely. But then yeah, like in generally, I as a kid really liked stuff that you could like interact with other people when you collected. Like I was big into like Pokemon cards you can trade. What else is there? Like there's stuff like rocks you can't really like trade, but like stuff you can compare with other people that's not like this delicate stuff that you keep in boxes. Some people definitely keep their Pokemon cards like in the refrigerator in like the plastic like stuff. But you know, I as a kid I liked that collection stuff. But I thought it was like Pokemon cards also popped in my head because like speaking of McDonald's, Hope, they started they were selling Pokemon or not selling, but like Pokemon cards with a toy with the Happy Meal, and like collectors are coming through just like, hey, I want 6 packs of Pokemon cards, and they nationally said like you can get 5 and you have to buy food to get them.
Well, they had what was it, the Pikachu box for a while, like with the Happy Meal box.
I went and got one.
Of course, you have it.
Oh yeah. So, but like this is the little pack it came in.
Aww.
It came with stickers that are all over my water bottle now, if you can see them. So yeah, and then like here's the Pokemon cards that came with. I got a shiny Froakie, and then Pikachu, Chikorita, and Torchic. So like it was very fun. My girlfriend and I went through the McDonald's drive-through, and we went through the first time, and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to get Pokemon cards. And she's like, well, let's go through again and get a Happy Meal. I was like, okay.
Oh, wholesome.
So like, even though I'm not actively collecting Pokemon cards at this point, I'm like, oh, it's still fun to get them. Like being involved in collecting is so much more than just like acquiring and having like all of the stuff. It's like the process of like, I like this thing and I enjoy the process of getting it, but I also enjoy the process of having it. But again, there's that competitive aspect. Like I need it before other people and my collection is the best and everything like that. So it's definitely a multifaceted thing.
I remember as a kid, I used to have one of those little like golden medallions that they would like sell at McDonald's and Happy Meals of like Pokemon. There was like a Charizard one and a Pikachu one. And I remember that they actually ended up, I think, getting worth money, but like obviously mine was like tarnished and rusted because it's like it was just thrown in the toy box. Yeah, but it also brings up Pokemon collections. Besides the fact that it's the point of the game, actually the point of the game is to have fun, and don't let anyone tell you wrong.
No, the point of the game is animal abuse,
and then animal breeding, so that you get the perfect thing, and also shiny catching. But
yes, industrializing Pokemon catching.
Exactly.
The point of Pokemon is actually just very dark.
add math to it. Everyone loves that. But no, like even like you know, like people do hold Pokemon Go or like their collections in a high regard. Like people be like, look at these things I've caught, you know, and it's now everyone's are kind of like having their own little personal collections, and I think it's kind of cool. I
saw a TikTok the other day of someone's living decks in Pokemon Home, and they like not only did they have every Pokemon and then like every variation of Pokemon, like you know, like there's like sometimes there's male and female forms, like with Pyroar or Florges that has all the different colors. But they also had every Pokemon as shiny and had multiple of every legendary and every starter as shiny. And I was like you get I think you get 100 boxes in Pokemon Home, and they had like 80 or 90 of them filled. I was like, holy crap! Like that's intense.
That's how you know that that's like all that person does is just Pokemon, because there's no way they would have time to do that. Plus, like an actual job.
Well, I mean, they could try and collect
that so much, though. Like that level of dedication, that was intense.
I'll tell you, if he can collect, or they can collect all 8.5 billion variations of the Pokemon Spinda and the different polka dots on its body, I'll be impressed. No,
I would also be impressed. But I hate that though. I hate Spinda.
Yes,
Like, why give that to that Pokemon?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
no
I know
evolution.
no Spinda hate, but like Spinda's not like a top tier in like design or well, I guess like that gives it unique design. But I feel like this also begs the question, like in like the modern age and like even with the pandemic, like what kind of digital collecting is there? Like, I feel like a lot of people associate collections with, physical, squishmallows. You get all your squishmallows, you set them up in like a nice thing, you take pictures and you have them all like that, or like you have
The
all your
background.
Pokemon card. Exactly. You have all your Pokemon in a binder, or in my case, I organize by release order of all the Catan stuff that's in my closet and stuff like that. And it's very like presented in a physical space so I can show it off to people. But like in a digital space, there's value to that too. Can you think
I
of any
feel
other
like
like
the
digital
collection-
collections?
I feel like the collection in the pandemic has been, what streaming service do you have?
Yeah.
Like,
Gotta
HBO
catch
Max,
'em all.
Hulu, gotta get them all. But also, like, I also think like it's still cheaper to have all these streaming services than to have cable. So
mhm. Yep.
Um,
That was a thing at one point. Like, that was an article about like millennials are killing cable service. No, it's
Good.
just ridiculously expensive.
it's too
Yeah.
expensive, and you don't you don't get to control it. You have to watch commercials.
I mean, you have to watch some commercials for for some streaming services, like if you have Paramount Plus or whatever.
Or Hulu,
If it's a
but also
live, yeah. But it's still only like 3 commercials versus the never-ending amount of commercials that
Infomercials.
repeat themselves. Yeah.
yeah.
a whole
um,
like TV channel that's just commercial.
A big, I think, digital collection that I think a lot of gamers would understand is achievements.
Yes,
Like,
good point.
not just for the sake of getting your gamer score up, but like I went through and besides Halo 5, I actually never played Halo 5. But like I wanted to make
How
it
dare.
like certain that I could play. I played through all the Halos on Legendary by myself. I guess, and besides Halo Wars, I do own those, but I haven't beaten them. But like, yeah, and that's like a thing where like I was like really proud of my achievements of like the achievement. I think you got one in Halo 4 for like every single level, but also like just beating the game on Legendary by yourself. And I think that was super cool. But yeah, gamers will like go through so much to like get those achievements, especially the really rare ones. They'll try and find them. And like you mentioned earlier, getting 100% on like Assassin's Creed, like those are hard games to get 100% on. Those, and then like
the early ones are hard. The later ones it gets a little easier just because they actually give you like you have to collect items throughout, but they give you a map of where they are or
Yeah.
ways to like find out their location.
Which,
The first
thank
game, it's
goodness.
like the first game. I know the first one. It's like, good luck. There's a
There's
hundred of
stuff
these
out
things.
there.
Yeah,
And
and basically, yeah.
That's the same thing with like the Lego games, which I always think getting 100%. There's so much. You got to find all the hidden Stan Lees and Lego superheroes.
When
And then
Lego
you
Star Wars the Skywalker saga comes out, I'm 100%ing that, and I don't care how long it takes.
But yeah, so I guess just with video game collections, and now I don't mean like collecting video games, but collecting things inside video games.
I think another big thing that's like an interacting thing is cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not just saying like model cars where you have to build it. Like, my grandpa had them. We now have all of his model cars and airplanes in our garage.
Trains? Because I know a lot of people
Possibly.
play trains.
That's possibly in the garage. I honestly don't know what's in our garage at this point anymore. It's just
Garage.
stuff. But the like, because you've got shows like Counting Cars that in Las Vegas they sit there and restore old cars so that people can collect them, or some of them are even like for sentimental value, like, yeah, my dad had this car when he was younger and like built it with his father, and his father passed away recently, so we found it and wanted to restore it, and so Counting Cars will do that. That counts customs. But you've got that, and then you've also got things like oh my gosh, it's Oh my, it's on the History Channel. It's Mike and oh, oh, they go around to different places and like they'll go through like and like go through people's like houses that are filled or like old places and they find like old antique stuff. Oh, it's gonna bother me now. But like I think just a big thing in general is just like what people find is cool. So like people find old cars to be really cool. Like I personally find and yes, I'm about to reference a show without telling you which show, but a 1967 four-door Chevy Impala. That's like one of my dream cars. Or getting a 60s Ford Mustang. At one point, I will say I wanted a Ford Mustang, the color of Zac Efron's eyes.
Oh.
If we can get a blue color.
Dark purple?
Yes.
Oh no, bright orange. My bad.
But
those are like, very similar colors.
But like they're really cool. And so yeah, a lot of it just like depends on like memories too. Like what do these collections invoke in memories? Because like with my Webkinz collection that I had at one point, like I have the memory of going around with, my mom and sisters and everything and like buying Webkinz and trying to make sure that I didn't get a duplicate Webkinz. I have like over 50 rooms in my house on Webkinz. But apparently now people don't need to buy a code to play Webkinz now. And I'm kind of upsetty spaghetti about that one. But, like things like Harry Potter, like that's to me, I love Harry Potter and, wearing my Harry Potter Hufflepuff house shirt. And just like, that was something me and my sisters bonded over. And like, that's still part of my life to this day. And
I get that too. Like in my house, I was the only one that really played video games. So like me having, I was like, well, no one else is going to like get these and play these with me. So like, I got to have my complete set. Like for me, while it's not like a pack bond with like other people. It's like all right, this is my thing that like, this is like, not saying it's like, this is my identity in this house, but like this differentiates me from other people. So I'd like to, fully go through this, and then also puts me in a community with other people outside of my house that I don't feel like I have at home.
Exactly. Also, the show that I was trying to think of, American Pickers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the show I was trying to think of. Yeah. So if y'all like history, because they do give history facts too when they find stuff. Because like we also talk about like monetary value of stuff. They do talk about all of that in their show when they go around and look at stuff. But
yeah, I would also recommend Antiques Roadshow, which my mom would watch every Wednesday. But no, yeah, I think nostalgia is a big part of collections. Like I have friends, my friend Kevin, his parents, they collect like every ticket stub to like to rock shows they go to because they're really big in the rock.
They were gonna say movies because like sitting right here on my desk, if I can find it. Yeah, my ticket stub to Avengers Endgame is like sitting right here.
Glorious. I mean, yeah. So they have like a wall, and it's like a cork board, and there's like they have little things, and I think that's pretty cool. Where it's like that's a collection where it would not be that important to other people, but to them, it's very important. To other people, they'd be like, those are tickets. And like, yeah, sometimes you can get cool stuff like signed shirts and stuff from the performers. But yeah, I have a friend that collects Beyblades.
Let it rip, or no, let them rip. Not let it rip. Let them rip. Yeah, let it rip means something different.
He collects them, and he would do tournaments, but he didn't just collect like to keep. Like he would collect, and then he would buy a bunch online. And then if there was like ones he already had, he would like resell those. And like I've seen him make like a lot of hundreds of dollars of profit on like Beyblades because like there are ones they don't make anymore. There are ones that are like fully metal. There's cheaper ones that are plastic. And like he knows everything. And he's my girlfriend's friend actually. And I think it was when we moved in or for Christmas. He got us like each a Beyblade that he had, and he got me Phantom Orion, which I knew nothing about Beyblades, but apparently it is like a long-lasting Beyblade. Like its whole thing is that like you can spin it and it spins for a really long time. And so we did actually like fight our Beyblades together, and mine did win. Endurance. And then same thing, my girlfriend's uncle collects Mr. Potato Heads, which now being rebranded as just Potato Heads, which makes more sense. Possibly could make his collection more wealthy. Like older, you know, like I remember seeing, like we went into his office once. We got his futon. But like he's got like shelves up here, and like not just boxes of Mr. Potato Heads, but also like coffee mugs and plates and like everything. And he was like, yeah, I just started collecting one day. I was like, wow, there it is.
That's cool. You just start noticing you have stuff. For me, like I noticed there's not really a collection, but I just like, I like turtles. So everyone started giving me like turtle things like Henry. For those of you who don't know, I have a tattoo of a turtle on my chest because I used to have a pet turtle. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see it. But now like on my desk, like when I like see turtle things, I just like start now this. I got this when I was in Morocco. So like that's definitely a thing. It's just you start collecting little things. It's like, oh, I like turtles. So like let's get more turtle things.
There is a nice turtle sticker at REI.
I have a turtle in my vicinity.
And then, you know, it just happened with turtles. Like I like turtles, but I never thought like, oh, I'm going to collect turtles. And all of a sudden one day I'm like, I have 7 turtles. Like, and I will, you know, once people know that that's what you like, you'll get more turtle related things, and you'll start like, you're like, oh, that'll be a good friend for my other 20 turtles. And then it's like stuff like that. And that's like kind of how I feel like some of the best collections get formed.
Fuzzy socks. Can I count fuzzy socks as a collection?
Yeah, if it's something that like you go to the store and you see something like, oh wait, that fits with my other things. Like it fits my aesthetic, it fits my identity, it fits my person. It like kind of expands beyond that. I feel like it definitely counts as a collection. So then kind of like last question of like of this topic is so I feel like it's pretty easy to identify, you know, with things, us being able to go to stores less with like pandemic stuff. It's been harder to collect things like in person. With like online shopping has become the primary mode, and it's hard to really like get things, especially like rare things, with online shopping, because like at a store it's like, all right, everyone in this vicinity is probably going to see this, and if they have it in stock, you know, I'm competing with less people to get it. But then online it's like I'm competing with all 8 billion people on the planet technically, because everyone that has access to the internet could get this. So it's like it's a little different, it's a little tougher. And so like digital collecting might be like considered easier, but do you think there's any advantages that either like post-pandemic or during pandemic that it has created in terms of collecting? Or is this just a bad thing for collectors?
I have a thing, but it's very dark. How dark do we want to get?
No, I know where you're going. No, we're not doing that.
Well, I do think that the pandemic did have a lot of downsides of everything. Like, though, I mean, the possibility of less people going out, though, also might increase the chance of, like, if you're the only one going to a store, you might also find what you need because there's not a bunch of people there. Also, I think it did increase the surplus of things on the internet, of people selling stuff online. Like there was like the whole like, for instance, Cyber Monday, like was already big, but I think was definitely bigger this year. Meijer had like Meijer and many other stores. For those listening out of state, Meijer is a Michigan area store.
Midwest. There's some in like Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana as well. But
that's true. But they had like a Black Friday like week long thing, so that it wasn't everyone coming in one day. It was you could come any like of the days of the week and you'd get those same deals. And I don't know. I think that's kind of like a thing for collectors being able to get the opportunity to get things more because of what's going on.
And also like pickup and delivery services have been more streamlined. So like if you see something online, it's like, but I can't go in right now because I have work. And it's like, okay, reserve it. Like I want it. I know you have it. So I guess that's also, and I'm sure that will continue post pandemic. Like now that we know like I feel like this happens a lot with like the digital formats, but now we know pickup is a thing they can do. Now we know, digital meetings are things people can do. We can always like say like, hey, we know you can do it. We know we don't like it, but like it's possible. So that could be like a positive effect of it.
I think another thing, just because like people are either saving money during the pandemic because they're not out buying a whole bunch of things, or sadness of losing jobs and everything too because of the pandemic. But also meaning that, yeah, some collections might still be expensive just because of the rarity of them. But I think a lot of things that are like more common to find would probably be reduced in price, especially if someone's just trying to get rid of it. So like more people could potentially buy it with like the reduced price and everything, and trying to like save their money and be like, oh, that I know someone who really wants, I'm gonna go back with Stitch, like a Stitch figurine, because my sister got me a Jim Shore figurine that was Stitch, like from Bronner's, and Jim Shore is very expensive usually, especially like Bronner's. You're like, oh, this is expensive, but that is technically a collector's item, and so like I might be able to go online and like search it and find it for slightly cheaper because they're trying to get the stock out, because like people couldn't buy it full price or whatever, and so they're trying to get rid of stock.
And like your point from like both, like combining both your points, like from yard sales and then Isaac saying like that shift to online, like people that like they're like, I need to sell this stuff, like I'm not going to do it. It could be that shift to online, so like it's kind of expanding your horizons for yard sales. Also, I'm noticing like in Zoom, if you're seeing this on YouTube, I'm just ahead now with my Squishmallow. I think it's really funny, but yeah, like combining that yard sale type thing, but putting it in like a market that's definitely more like national, global level. You might be able to get.
Yeah, well, and like Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace is big.
Like
definitely for collectors.
Amazon, yeah. Amazon, if you do like small business or like individual selling stuff. And
Poshmark and Mercari are also like definitely outlets that I feel like people are more aware of now. But also too, I feel like given this time alone with our stuff and with our people, our like idea of like what we collect and like what things we value and like what ideas behind the things that we value are important to us have kind of coalesced a bit. So I feel like even though we might not be able to like buy because of like financial means, or might not be able to access because of like economic constraints, the things we want to collect, I feel like we have a deeper appreciation for what we do want to collect, because it's more of the idea behind it, less behind the stuff, because we've had to spend this time with it that we otherwise wouldn't, if that makes sense. Not to get all philosophical on everyone, but like
I think what you're trying to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong and everything, is it goes back to the whole thing of what we were talking about of like memory.
It's like you're appreciating it more now because you had to spend more time with it.
Yeah, and like if someone was to get it for you, it's them saying, "Hey, I remember this." It's essentially like we're learning love languages in a way.
Yeah, you see this as an important part of your identity to the point that you want to bring more of it into your life. Here, I'd like to add to that.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. Well, I feel like that is it for our time this evening. But before we go, as always here on Raving Geeks, we'd like to end with some recommendations for our viewers, whether that be movies, video games, comics, or anything else geeky. So, would either of you have anything you'd like to recommend?
On the day that we were recording this show is not out yet, but tomorrow is Friday and it's going to be out. And no, I have not seen it yet, but I am recommending Falcon and Winter Soldier, which takes place apparently at the same time as WandaVision, like 6 months after Endgame.
WandaVision is like 2 weeks, so I'm assuming this takes place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it starts 2 weeks this time.
Yeah. But my other one is Scrubs. It is free on Hulu and Amazon Prime. My roommate and I watch it together. Yeah, free if you have the subscription for it. But my roommate and I watch it together, and we'll literally have it on just during dinner. Like the other day, I think we went through one entire episode without actually fully watching it because we were making dinner. But it was on, And so it's one of those that like you don't need to fully be paying attention, but like
Love those.
yeah, it's good background noise too. So
Well, actually, Scrubs is fantastic. I've only actually seen the first few seasons, but it does do a thing where like you're like, oh, it's like it's comedy, but then it's also like it deals
It's
with
real
really
life.
serious topics.
yeah.
And I have there have been like nurses in real life that I've talked to that have said that it is actually like the most realistic
Mhm.
hospital show, like way more than like Grey's Anatomy or these other like the ER
Over
shows.
dramatizations.
Yeah, where like Scrubs like will deal with things where like it's like jokingly a guy's like awake all episode because like every time he tries to go to sleep like he gets like a buzz and has to go back to work.
Yeah.
And it's like they cover like these real stuff like that where like he's like I just want to sleep. Anyways,
I like
my
the
recommendation.
relationships, like Elliot,
Yes.
she tries to have a relationship with someone who's not a doctor, and she's going through her residency, and it's like there's too much time being spent at the hospital. So
Yeah.
definitely good for that.
So my recommendation is, well, now, in case you didn't know, now they're Xbox or Microsoft like officially like bought ZeniMax Studios, which is features like what like Bethesda and stuff. Which means first of all, there's going to be a lot of exclusives now on Xbox. Sorry, PlayStation users.
That's fine. PlayStation keeps enough for me anyway. I deserve something.
Yeah, there it is.
I can't play Last of Us or Spider-Man, which are like awesome titles. So I'm like, fine, I take something good from you.
Yeah, exactly. That's fight fire with fire. But because of that now, Game Pass has a lot more Bethesda games available. And one that I've played that I love is an older game, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. It is an old game. It came out in like 2000, I think, 1. And it's old, but I highly recommend it. Like, it's the game that got me into Elder Scrolls. It is so chock full of lore. There aren't voice actors like there are in like Skyrim and stuff. It's like if you walk by someone, they'll be like, "Good morning," and like walk by you. But because of when you talk to them, it opens a dialogue box, and so because of that, like they can put thousands and thousands of words into a dialogue box without paying someone to say it. And so like you'll talk to someone and like you'll just be talking to him for like 10 minutes because he's got so much to say. No, it's huge lore-driven game, fantastic otherworldly terrain, world, quests. It's great. Once you get past the graphics, which have kind of aged, I recommend it. Don't try using a bow though, because bows are kind of sucky in that game.
Nice.
Use a spear. All right.
All right, I have a couple of recommendations. The first one is called The Legend of Genji. It's actually it hasn't like been released yet. But it is just like an online fan-made follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra.
About the
following
yeah, okay.
the new earthbending avatar Genji. I just found out about it this week and I've been looking into it. But if you're an Avatar fan, or even if you're an artist and you're an Avatar fan and want to be a part of this project, that you can apply to help them with art and story that they're working on. I thought this was relevant too because of the foundation of Avatar Studios. So this might be like, we don't know if this project will continue. So like, I feel like going to support this might help because it's a really cool concept about the new earthbending avatar. I don't want to give too much away because like the lore of it is really, really cool, but highly recommend. I also recommend the show Young Justice. It was on Cartoon Network for its first 2 seasons, and then it got canceled, but then it got renewed for season 3 on DC Universe, but now DC Universe is not a thing. So season 4, which hopefully is coming out this year. We have not gotten a solid release date. Just based on trends, it might be coming out in August, but fingers crossed. But yeah, now that'll be on HBO Max. Another reason to get HBO Max for us. So that'll be really fun. And then the last thing, I think I've mentioned this TikToker and YouTuber and Twitch streamer before, Purple Cliff. But he's does a Pokemon Nuzlocke on like TikTok and YouTube, but also he introduced me to someone else. If I haven't mentioned him, go like subscribe, follow him. He's really cool if you like watching Pokemon Nuzlocke. He's not like really like, he's not like a bad Pokemon player, but also like, how a lot of people take themselves really seriously. They're like, I'm gonna do these challenges. He's just like, I'm gonna play through the game. And like, I'm not gonna, level myself up before I take on this gym, and like everything just goes wrong. And it's really fun to watch because like he does not take it too seriously at all, and it's really like fun. But he reacted to a video by Jaden Animations on YouTube, who
which I've watched Jaden Animations.
Has animated her two Pokemon Nuzlocke that she did, and they are so fun to watch. So like if you use up like 20 minutes and you want to watch something, it's like really cute, and she like animates her journey through the game that she like actually streamed on Twitch, and I thought that was really cool. So I'd like to recommend those if you're a Pokemon person. Those are definitely things to look at. Also, she does other animation stuff too that's really fun to watch. But like I've watched the she's really cool art style. It's really fun. It's cute. Yeah. Alrighty, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us here at Raving Geeks. Make sure to leave a comment wherever you're listening from. We'd love to hear from you, what you thought about today's episode and what you might want us to talk about in the future. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter at Raving Geeks, as well as on our TikTok channel. Feel free to, if we start posting stuff, duet it, stitch it, whatever you want to. We want to hear from you. We want to know, what you think of us as geeks. We want to talk to our fellow geeks. It's always fun.
One of us.
Well, you are one of us now. Alrighty. Well, as always, I've been Brennan Valentine, along with
Hope Gooderall.
And I'm Isaac Hunter.
That's a Bantha Hunter.
Yes, there's a Tusken Raider I'm holding up on a Bantha.
Yes. So Bantha Hunter, our new co-host. Alrighty. Well, stay geeky and have a great week, everyone. So long.